Hello everyone, it's Applemint and welcome back again to my channel. As always, I post a new video every Friday, so if you're interested in art related videos, please consider subscribing. So for today's video, I'll be doing another comparison video. It's been a little while since I last did one of these, so I'm really excited to do another one. Today I'm going to be testing two different types of colored pencils, and for my video I've drawn a mermaid and I've reprinted it onto two separate pieces of paper so they're identical. And for this video I will be using the normal Crayola colored pencils, and I will also be using the Prismacolor Premier 36 set of colored pencils. So let's get started. So to start out, I'm going to begin with the Crayola colored pencils. Now I didn't have a peach skin tone colored pencil in this set since it was just the basic 12 pack that I got for $2, but I was able to very lightly press down on the paper with my pencils using yellow and orange to kind of get the same effect that I was going for. Now it wasn't perfect, but it definitely worked for what I needed. And I used some of the brown to go ahead and do some shading, and then went back and forth with the yellow and the orange to get the effects that I wanted. It wasn't perfect, but you know, close enough with the colors that I had. As you might know, Crayola colored pencils are definitely not the highest quality. Their lead is a bit harder and they're not really that pigmented. As I go on in this drawing, you'll see that I do try to do a few different things with the colors that I have here and to create some different tones and shades and some depth within the drawing. So as I'm doing the tail here, I was kind of going for a gradient effect. So the best advice I can give in general for colored pencils is to start off pressing very lightly, because if you go in very dark and you make a mistake, yeah, you might be able to erase it a bit, but it's never going to perfectly erase. So definitely press down lightly when you're coloring with these, because there's really no going back. So I started off by beginning with the very light blue that I had. And since I had a light blue, a regular blue, and then a violet color, I used these to make a gradient on the tail. But I left some areas in the lighter blue less colored in, so that I would be able to fill it in with some yellows, because I already kind of had an idea in my head of what I wanted this to look like, and I wanted it to be brightest on top and give it something interesting, because if it was just blue it would be kind of boring, especially since I only had 3 colors to work with here. So and I did the same thing on her top, the same color scheme, just because, you know, this set of pencils only had 12 colors. So I wanted to use as many of them as I could, because there wasn't a lot to begin with. So when you don't have a lot, you get creative. And as you can see there, I added the yellow on the top part of her tail. And with these pencils, I didn't press down too hard because they weren't that easy to blend by pressing down. So that's why I kept it pretty light. But in keeping it light, it actually wasn't that bad. And honestly, I was pretty happy with the way this came out. I'm not saying just because these are $2 pencils that they're automatically not good. Like, by a long shot, I'm not saying that. But, you know, it's always interesting to push yourself and see what you can do with these kinds of materials, because I'm someone who's used to using Copic markers and things like that. So I don't often get a chance to use these types of materials like Crayola colored pencils. I don't pick those up often, but when I do, I definitely like to challenge myself. So as you can see for the hair, I went and kind of did a reddish hair color, and I made sure to use the yellow, the orange, and the red, because I wasn't about to just use 1 or 2 of those colors. So I did the yellow for the very lightest part of her hair to give it that nice shine, and then blended it with the orange. And on her hair, I pressed down a little harder with the pencils. And like I said, the lead is harder lead, it's not soft lead, so it is a little harder to blend, but definitely not that bad, especially if you kind of go back and forth and work the pencils into each other. That's what I found was the easiest to get the effects that I wanted, was to go back over the red with some of the orange and go back over the yellow with some orange, or the orange with the yellow, like kind of go back and forth and mix the colors to make that blended effect. So now it's time to crack out my Prismacolor pencils. this is the 36 set of Softcore Prismacolored pencils. You can buy these pretty much anywhere. They sell them on Amazon, Michaels, various craft stores, places like that. So they're pretty easy to come by, and the prices do vary quite a bit. Like Michaels sells them for $60, at least that's what it said online, which sounded kind of crazy. And then places like Amazon and some other stores have them in the 20s range. So I don't know why the prices vary so much, but some stores definitely inflate them. Anyway, these pencils I started using before I used any Copic markers. So these were the first things that I got as some nice art supplies. So it was pretty natural using these, and I enjoyed them as always, but they are definitely, you definitely feel a difference when using these as compared to the Crayola colored pencils. The first thing I'll say is that they are soft core pencils, so their lead is a lot softer, and this means a variety of things. First of all, they do have pretty nice pigmentation. Now, they're not the highest quality pencils on the market. That's not what I was going for here. But they are nice quality, and people have their varying opinions, but my opinions of them are positive just from my experience. So the softness of the lead makes them very easy to blend into each other. And because this was a 36 set, I did have a larger variety of colors, but I wanted to try to match the Crayola drawings colors as closely as I could. Because these were a softer lead, I could press down harder, and it was very, very smooth on the paper. So as you can see, I have a nice gradient going on with the blue there so far, and that's only in using, I think, like 2 or 3 blues. I actually had like 5 or 6 blues in this pack of pencils. So because I had more to play with, I just kept working the pencils back and forth, switching between the light blues and the dark blues and the greens. And yeah, that was something that I added in here, was to get that yellow in the middle. I transitioned it from blue to green to yellow rather than just from blue to yellow. So yeah, I really was happy with the way that the tail came out. It's definitely a lot more vibrant than the Crayola was. And the vibrancy in these pencils is one of the main reasons that I really like them. Even with a smaller color range, you can do a lot. If you just have 2 blues, a light and a dark, you can start by pressing very, very lightly with the lighter blue to pressing darker with that to get a darker shade of that color, and then so on for the darker blue, and then just kind of blend them together. So that's something I really like about these pencils. And as you can see for the tail, I did the same kind of thing I did on the very tip of the tail as I did on the top of the tail there. And I used the greens, yellows, and the light blues to kind of make a nice effect. So in addition, another thing to think about, which I'm actually fairly new to knowing about this, is light fastness in pencils. I didn't even know this was a thing, and it's not just pencils, it's a variety of art supplies, but it's how well they hold up after being exposed to sunlight over a long time. So I looked into it a bit for Prismacolor and Crayola pencils, and I couldn't find too much on Crayola, but some people said that they don't fare very well. Some people said that they were okay if you leave them exposed to sunlight for a long period of time. And when I say long period, I mean like months, not just a couple hours. So that's something to think about, but I mean, if you're buying Crayola colored pencils, I'm not sure you really care about that. And you might not care about that at all in general when you're buying materials, but Prismacolor seemed to have a decent rating. It varied from what I could see there between each pencil. Certain colors fared better than other colors, so that's something to think about. But in general, I was really happy with the way the hair came out on the Prismacolor one because I had so many colors to play with, and because the colors got so deep and vibrant, I was able to get a really fiery hair color on her, and I really liked it. It contrasted well against her tail and was really a nice pop of color. So overall, I had a lot of fun using the Prismacolors and challenging myself to color this and make this artwork. So everyone, those are my Crayola and Prismacolor artworks. As you can see, there's definitely a difference in the pigmentation and saturation of the colors. So you be the judge as to which version you prefer and like better. And let me know in the comments below which one you think looks better. So as always, all of my social media info and everything else are in the description below, so please check out those links. And thank you so much for watching. So until my next video, I hope you all have a beautiful day, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye!